Hello everyone. Hello everyone. My name is Hani, and I'm serving as your room assistant today. Welcome to How to Be Effective Leaders in and Out of Toastmasters Breakout Room. This is a TLI, Toastmaster Leadership Institute session, specially dedicated to members and guests in District 87. For club officers who need credit toward Club DCP, please type your division, club abbreviation, position, and name into the chat box. The same as your naming format when you enter the main room earlier. This will be the proof of your attendance. I will save the chat and send it to the registration team for checking. I will also take the candid photos during the session. Please note that the session will be recorded and will be published at social media such as District 87 YouTube channel. Again, the candid photos and the recording will also be the proof of your attendance. Let's begin. First, I would like to introduce our facilitator today, is Toastmaster Theo Sulun, and he is a self-employed, joining Toastmasters since 2007, with current leadership position as Division Director and past leadership position Club President, VPE, VPM, and VPPR. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Theo.
Thank you very much, Hani, for that very kind introduction. You did a wonderful job. How about a big round of applause for our room assistant today, Hani? Everyone, yes. Well done, Hani. That was
Thank you, Toastmaster Theo.
Excellent job. And ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Toastmasters, good afternoon and welcome to this session, How to Become Effective Leaders in and out of Toastmasters. It is great to see so many of you. Thank you for taking your time to be here. We're going to be here for the next 50 minutes or so. And it is my hope that you take something valuable away from this session. Now, before I begin, I would like to encourage everyone here, if you can, to turn on your webcam so that we can establish good visual presence and connection. So yes, turn on your webcam. Chitra, hi, good afternoon, good to see you. Thank you for switching on your webcam. And for those of you who have your webcam on, I can see Susanna, Sarawak Chiang, yeah, so Aisha, good to see you. All right, so let's get starting. Now, before I begin, perhaps let's set some expectations and what you can expect out of this session. And I think to maximize learning, there is no need to scribble everything that I'm going to show on screen, because I'm going to find out a way to get my materials to you so that you don't have to scribble down anything. However, I would encourage you to get hold of the good old notepad, pen, and as you go along, scribble down ideas that come to your mind, because that is valuable. So scribble down ideas instead of taking notes. And I think also the best way to learn is to participate. Please feel free to participate and engage with me and your fellow attendees here this afternoon. Now, Henny has introduced me as a Toastmaster and given you a little bit of background information about my journey in Toastmasters. How about if I share with you a little bit about my professional experience and how I think I can contribute to your learning this afternoon? So is it okay I introduce a little bit about myself? Yeah? So give me a thumbs up if you're all right with it. Okay, thank you everyone. So just before the pandemic started, prior to that, I was working in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and I was leading a software development team for a multinational software company. It's a business software company. I was there to make sure that the team was able to deliver its target. So this company has customers around the world, and the team in Kuala Lumpur is responsible to ensure that we deliver the new software updates to the customers worldwide on time. So it's a very pressurized environment, as you can imagine. So besides delivering on the targets, it's important for us to keep improving. And in my 11 years leading that team, I have learned quite a number of useful lessons on how we can build very high performing teams that bond together. And today I take that experience and I want to share certain skills that are most commonly used in my 11 years in that particular industry. And I hope you find those skills very useful as well. Now, since the pandemic started, I have sort of semi-retired and I'm now currently doing things that I want to do. And one of it is, for example, what I'm doing here this afternoon, sharing my experience with my fellow Toastmasters. Wasting any more time, let us get started now. I want to share my screen before I get going. You should be able to see my screen now. And if you don't, just please do let me know. Now, before I begin, I would like all of you to share with me, how many of you are already leading a team in Toastmasters or at work? If you are leading a team, in the chat box, type yes now. And if you are not, then you just type no. I'd like to know. Yeah? So feel free. Yes, Aisha, yes. Yeah. Maranatha, yes. Okay. Yeah. So I see quite a number of yeses at work. Yeah. Suriana, yes, at work. Alexander is not leading any team. No worries. When you get a chance to lead next time, you will find this useful as well. So we have lots of yeses. I am very happy to see that. Yeah. So Rani, no worries. Once you know this skill, it's going to put you in a good place to lead the next time you have the opportunity. So whether you're leading now or you're not, still, I think this session is going to benefit you tremendously. Now, let me ask you another questions. And again, please share in the chat box. Yeah. So this session is about how to become effective leaders in and out of Toastmasters. So what does the term factor mean to you? What does effective leader mean to you? Share with me on the chat box. Yeah, let's take 30 seconds. What does effective leader mean to you? Leading by giving examples. Yeah, thank you, Fikriya. Right? Yeah, Stephanie, leader who can bring the team together to achieve the goal. That's very good answer as well, Stephanie. Ramasdin, a leader who can guide his team well as expected. Yeah. Akira, effective, functioning, able to resolve members' difficulty in performing, correct as well. Ronald says, build a strong team to achieve a goal. Also spot on. And I see lots of answers here. A person who can lead other person to achieve the goal. Erwin, that is also a good answer. Now, to me, yeah, what does being an effective leader mean? Now, when you are a leader, you have followers, because without followers, you cannot be a leader. So the first thing is you must have followers. And as an effective leader, you must have influence over your follower, all right, in order you can maximize their efforts to achieve goals. So those are the 4 key words an effective leader must have. You must have influence, you must have followers, or you must be able to influence, you must be able to maximize their efforts, and you must get them to achieve the goals that they have to achieve. So that is what effective means. Now, at work, that could mean meeting some goals set by the company, helping the company to achieve its vision. Yeah, and every team must have their own goals as well as each individual in your team, they should have their individual goals as well. All right, and as a leader, how do you use your influence to make sure everyone in your team puts in their best effort and everyone in the team continues to grow, right? So growth is continual. That means they get better and better over time. How do you do that? So we're going to explore this afternoon, and I'm going to share with you 3 key skills. And these 3 key skills serve me very well in my 11 years. And I use this all the time. And I believe these are the skills that help me to build very high performing teams that stay together and they work for each other. And they are very productive and they always meet targets, right? So these are the 3 skills. And what are they? So I'm just going to share with you the 3 skills are, all right, to be an effective leader. Number 1, you must know how to set goals, whether it's for your team or for an individual team member. Number two, you must be able to evaluate well, right? And why do I say that? Maybe anyone share with me, why is it important to be able to evaluate well? Anyone? Why? Why is evaluation so important? Anyone? Share in the chat with me. Future improvement. Yes. Akira, good. So we can do measurement. Yes. Give inputs for improvement. Learn and improve. All right. Very good answers that all of you have given. Sustainable development indeed. So you can think of evaluation as like a guide, as a compass. You know, when a ship is navigating in rough waters, sometimes it goes off course. So evaluation will try to get that ship on course to reach the destination. So that's what evaluation does. It's a guide. And thirdly, the third skills that you need to do to have is grow. Now, be able to grow your team members. They cannot be stagnant, because if you want your team to be high performing, continuously meeting challenges, your team members have got to be continuously getting better. They must grow, they must improve all the time. So I'm going to share with you a model on how you can get team members to grow. So the first skill I'm going to share with you is number 1, key skill number 1, set goals. So there's a something called SMART goals, SMART, SMART goals. So how many of you are familiar with this technique of setting goals? So you heard of SMART goals, you know what SMART stands for. So if you do, please share with me, yes, in the chat box. Yeah, and if you have not heard of it, says no, yeah, so that I know I can go into greater detail. Okay, no, some yes, okay, some no's here, some yeses as well. Alrighty. Okay, good. So we have a mixed crowd. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail. And for those of you who know, please bear with me. We have people here who do not. So, and I think I want to share with them because I want to share what SMART goals are. And I think it's very important. So the first thing when you set a goal, all right, for your team, or when you set goals, always work together with the person or with the team. It's not what I want, but what together as a team, what can we achieve? And that's how we set a goal. And if it's one-on-one, you say, okay, this is a situation. What is it that you would like to achieve? This can be for a year or for 6 months, for 2 years, and so on. So the first criteria that the goal should meet, it should be specific. That means well-defined and clear. Now, what do I mean by specific? So imagine if you are going to build a house now, right? And this is what I share with my team members. Please draw a picture of success. Tell me, what does success look like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? So if you're going to build a house, you have got to know how big is it? How many doors it's got to have? How many windows? How many rooms? Correct? How many floors? How big the garden is? How high the fence should be? So if you can draw that clearly, then you're going to be able to build that house. If a person cannot paint, cannot draw, cannot tell you what success look like, then it's very hard for the person to achieve it. And this is why it's important to have very specific goals. Okay, and it must be measurable. So, for example, I would like to complete easier one, right? I would like to reduce my speech crutches when I speak, when I give a presentation. So I'm going to do that by talking more often in the Toastmasters meeting. I'm going to make sure my 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 la, my okay comes down from 20 to 5 in the next 2 weeks. So this is measurable. I said 2 weeks. I said from 20 to 5, it is measurable. So all goals have got to be as measurable as possible. Next criteria, achievable. All right, achievable means something that the person or the team can achieve. And when I mean achievable, it means it should also come with it some challenges. It should not be something that the team or the person can do with eyes closed. Then it is not challenging. And when it is not challenging, the team or the person does not grow. See, when they do difficult things, they learn. And that is what we want. So achievable is very important as well. Characteristics to have, it is to make a person grow or a team. Realistic, relevant to the goals, all right? So it must be relevant. For example, you want to improve your speech, you're not going to set a goal about how well you can draw, for example, because they are not related. So it must be realistic in that sense and relevant. And last but not least, make sure you have dates. So just now I said I'm going to reduce my speech crutches from okay, from 20 to 5 in 2 weeks. So that 2 weeks is a timeline. That's my target date. So always have dates with your goals. So at this point in time, any questions? Any questions? Feel free to unmute and share with me, ask me, or if you are too shy, then please type them in the chat box. Let me see. I'm going to open my chat box. Any questions or you need me to clarify on anything? No? Now, any one of you here are in EXCO, Toastmasters EXCO members, whether it's current or previous. Any one of you here? Just tell me in the chat box if you are. Yeah, me, okay. Prikriya, yes. Some of you, Liu, Limoy, yes, okay. Hanny too. All right, as you know, in Toastmasters, the DCP program, the Distinguished Club program, has 10 criteria, right, for your club to meet. Now, those are goals that are very smart because they're specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So if you look at those 10 DCP goals criteria, it meets all these criteria. So that's just the best example for you to look at. All right, there will not being other questions. Or how about long-term goal, mid-term goal, short-term goal in Toastmasters? So long-term goal. So I think, for example, if you talk about long-term goal, I think sometimes when you talk about long-term, it can be in terms of time different for different people. For me, maybe long-term can be 5 years or 3 years. For others, it could be 1 or 2 years. But still, the longer the term, the less specific, the picture will be for you, because things can change. But have as specific a goal as well, whether it's long, mid, or short. All right. The only difference is the time factor here. Yeah. So does that answer your question, Ramasdin? All goals have got to be as smart as possible. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at key skill number 2. Evaluate. So everyone is very familiar with this. Some of you here are probably very good at this skill already. So let's share here what I think about evaluation. So evaluation is about feedbacks. Okay, it's about giving feedbacks and listening to feedbacks as well. So when we learn to give, we must also learn to receive, right? Listen. I've just shared just now why is evaluation important. It is to guide a person or a team so that it gets back on course to meet its goal or objective. So that's what evaluation is, right? And it helps people to improve and achieve their goals. Now in Toastmasters, this is a skill that almost everyone has already. And I just want to quickly run through. So it's the sandwich approach as advocated in Toastmasters. What is a sandwich approach? Some people call it the burger approach. So sandwich and burger has 3 layers, correct? You got the buns on the top and the bottom, and then the filling in the middle. So sandwich approach means when you evaluate someone or you give feedbacks, talk a little bit about the person's strengths, okay, as an opening, and then proceed on to talk about areas of weaknesses or areas that need improvement or things that the person didn't do so well. All right. And then go on to share a little bit more positive points. And if you do know how to improve certain things, you can share with them as well. Suggest to them on how to improve. So that is the sandwich approach. Now, the last 2 points, be specific. Why is this important? So I've, in my more than 10 years as a Toastmaster, I've listened to plenty of evaluation, and sometimes evaluation can be a little bit too general. For example, Toastmasters John, you are today very good with your speech. You're very good in your speech. I like it. Okay, but exactly which area of the speech, right, as an evaluator that I or you enjoyed? Tell that to the speaker. Be specific about which part of the speech or which part of the performance of the first speaker was good. And why is it good? Because it has no speech crutches, or because this person spoke at a rate that is very comfortable. For example, 80 words per minute. Be very specific. All right. If you're not specific, the person will not be able to identify. Yeah. And always end with encouraging words, because you want the person at the end of the evaluation session to feel encouraged and feel motivated. All right. It's the same in the workplace. So when you are a leader and you are giving feedback to your team members, after the evaluation session, the person must feel somewhat encouraged, even though you deliver bad news. All right. The person must feel somewhat that there is hope. Okay. Even though I didn't do well, there is hope. All right. So that should be how it is. All right. And evaluation should not be a time for a leader or anyone to put a person down, make him deliberately make the person feel bad. That's not the motive or the objective of an evaluation session. Okay. Skill set number 3. So I think this is going to be very important, because this is it's a combination of the first 2 skills. So now, how do you put those 2 skills into a model and make sure people in the team grow? Now, this particular skill is to help your team members grow, help them become better, help them to achieve their goals. All right. So when team members grow, that means they continuously improve, you end up with better teams. Okay. So when you have better teams, then people enjoy working together. All right. So this is what grow model does. Now, when you are in a session like this, grow is about coaching. So when you're in a coaching session, sometimes it is very tempting to give answers, because maybe you are experienced, you know exactly what the person should do to become better. All right. But refrain from giving answers, giving solutions. Instead, ask questions. Okay. Make the person find out the answers for themselves. Why? Can anyone share with me why? Why should we do that? When we have the answers, why don't we just give it to the team member and he or she will be done with?
May I share my opinion?
Yes.
Why? In my opinion, because we want to encourage our team creativity and initiative. I think that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank Ishraki. That's your name, right? Ishraki, did I get your name correct?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Ishraki. Now, initiative, that's the big word here. Initiative. You want the person to learn how to find answers or solutions to the obstacle that they face, instead of spoon feeding. So yes, Ramazdin says to be independent. Exactly, spot on. Akira, are there any other evaluation approach? Oh, okay. There was a question just now from Akira. Is there any other evaluation approach? Yes, there is. Besides the sandwich approach, there are other approaches as well. I'm sharing today what Toastmasters advocate, which is the sandwich approach, and it has worked very well for me in my years working professionally. So the other thing is, I want to share with you, why do we want people to find as much as possible, find their own solutions to their own obstacle. Imagine like this, all right? So I say, okay, John is my team member. I say, John, you have this problem. You know what you can do? You do this. that, and your problem solved. Okay, so finish session. Very easy, right? Now, the challenge here is that when John goes about and do this, that, and does not get the result, what will John say? Ooh, it's what you asked me to do. I didn't say I was, it's not my answer. You tell me to do that. I do as I am told, right? I do as I am told, right? You do not want this type of a situation in a team as much as possible, especially when it comes to self-improvement. You want them to own okay? Okay. So goals, as I've shared with you, goal setting, right? How to set goals. When you have a one-on-one with your team member, ask about aspirations. I'll talk about goals, what the person is good at, what are strengths, right? What does this person want to achieve in a year's time, in 6 months' time, in 2 years' time, all right? So set goals, and they have to be smart goals. Reality, okay? So goal here, not yet there, okay? Reality here. So reality is, where is the person now? What limitations the person have? What obstacle is the person facing? So then you have reality, okay? Reality, and then goal. So there's a gap, there's a journey. I always refer to it as a journey. I say, look, John, this is where you are, starting point. This is the target. There is a journey that you have to take yourself. I cannot take this journey for you, but I can guide you. All right. So that's what reality is. And then options. So this is where you try to get the person to think about solutions. Right? So John, you have this obstacle. All right. What resources do you think you have access to? Okay. What are your strengths? What are the possibilities by looking at the situation? Make the person think. All right. And sometimes you have to get the person to think out of the box. Maybe you have to give some hints, give some suggestions. Yeah. But whatever it is, try not to give answers unless it's really at the dead end. Okay. So help the person to come up with options. And the last part of this grow model is will. So it's about taking action. Again, be encouraging and accountability. You have to hold John, or in this case, your team member, accountable. All right. The goal, reality, options all came from him. All right. So he has got to be able to execute his ideas now. And what you can do is build an action plan for that. Okay. So ask him to write down, this is the goal. This is the reality. All right. To get from where I am to where I want to go. These are the things I have to do, and by when. Remember, timely. So the action plan must have a timeline in it. So this is the grow model that you can use to help people to grow. All right. Now, you have learned what the grow model is. You have learned 3 very important key skills, in my opinion. Yeah. Number 1, learn how to set goals, smart goals. Number 2, yeah, evaluation has got to be encouraging at the end of the day. It's got to be motivating to a certain extent, even though you're delivering bad news, for example. Number 3, use the grow model to help your team members become better. So these are the 3 skills. So at this point, I want to spend a minute or 2 just to take questions. Anyone? Questions, please feel free to unmute and ask, or you can share them in the chat box. Anyone? Okay, I don't see anything in the chat box. Right. We will still have a little bit of time at the end to do some Q&A. Okay. If not, great. We are going to go on to the next part. So what is next? Right. Oh, okay. Something in the chat box. What if our reality is our obstacle? So reality, of course, you have obstacles now. That's why you have not reached your goal yet. What if our reality is our obstacle? So I'm not sure what that means. Suriana, maybe you want to elaborate maybe what sort of obstacle it is, you know? Of course, the reality is that we have obstacle. That's why we have not reached our goal. Yeah, reality is our current state. So in our current state, so let me, so it's about current situation. Current situation includes obstacles, right? Obstacles, right? What we are currently doing. Yeah. So for at work, it could be that, let's say I'm John, I'm not performing. Okay, I'm not meeting expectations. Why am I not meeting expectations? Because I'm new to the job and I cannot get answers easily, or I do not know how to do certain things. And I don't have the answers. That's why I'm very slow and I cannot meet my deadline. So that is the reality. Okay. So reality indeed includes obstacles. Suriana, does that answer your question? Yeah, okay, good. So case study. Now I want you to take part in this case study, all right? And this is the case study. So, by the way, this is, names have been changed, but it's, from my experience, it's a real case, yeah? Situations change a little bit. So John joined the organization with good credentials and was offered above average salary as an engineer. Yeah, in the past 2 years, he has not been meeting expectations of an engineer. All right, so it's been going on for 2 years. John's poor performance has been affecting the team's teamwork and productivity. So because of John's poor performance, the team is not performing optimally. It is not delivering as much work as it can, and sometimes it does not meet deadlines for certain tasks. All right. Perhaps you will also encounter this in Toastmasters. Certain members of your EXCO, they are not performing. All right. So let's continue with the case study. John previously reported to a different leader, and despite some coaching, his performance did not improve. So now after that, John is transferred to your team. John has been with your team for the past 6 months and his performance remains poor. That means still not meeting expectation. He is in danger of being fired. Yeah, of course, after not performing for 2 years, yeah, he's in danger of losing his job. All right. So as his leader, what will you do? All right. So I want you to use the 3 skills that you have learned today, and in the chat box, share with me what you are going to do with John. Yeah, let's take 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes, good. Starting from now, 2 minutes. All right, 45 seconds to go. So begin finishing up and share with me in the chat box. All right. Okay, begin finishing up. Okay. All right, 2 minutes up. Time's up, ladies and gentlemen. My fellow Toastmasters, so put in the chat box what you are going to do. All right, Ramazdin says, call him face to face, ask his goals, tell about his performance, evaluate, give a certain time to evaluate for improvements. Okay, many elements are there. That's good. Indeed, face to face is very important in this case. From Suriana, taking personal approachment, asking some questions until knowing the root cause, yes, and his lack of performance, yeah. Asking what really he want. After that, set some advice and idea to solve his problem. Okay, good answer. John has been given enough time to show his performance as a leader. Okay, I will sit and do a coaching session to set our goals with time frame, evaluate, and consequences to apply. All right, Chitra. Chitra sounds very scary. You know, if you don't, these are the consequences. You're going to lose your job. All right. Okay, one-on-one. Aisha says doing one-on-one. Sure. Yeah, of course. One-on-one is good. All right, tell the evaluation based on data, what his problem is. Yeah, reset the goals. Yeah, and Kira says, as his leader, I would first sit down with John and ask him what his obstacle he's facing that is affecting his performance. Once that is identified, we will ask what type of help he thinks he needs to improve on, and then set goals. All right, very good, very good. I'm liking all the answers because it has elements of what I just shared with you. Brainstorm with him to know what he has gone through, accomplishment, what he missed. So yeah, Rajmanaya, thank you. Talk to him personally, Ishiraki. All right, you know what? Thank you all very much for your answers. They were great. It has got elements of things that I've just shared, and some of you were creative as well. Very well done. Now, this is actually an actual case, just that I changed a little bit the situation and the name. Now, this is what I would do. Okay, this is what I would do. All right. Now, first, this is a one-on-one session. So make sure you have access to a room, a quiet area where you sit down with the person. First, you're going to do an evaluation. All right. And evaluation is about the sandwich approach. So I'll first say, John, you've just joined my team in the last 6 months. I really like the fact that you have been very friendly. Even though you are new to the team, you took an effort to get to know everyone. And sometimes you organize lunches and get everyone to go out. I like the fact that you help to create a stronger bond in the team. So it's starting with a good point. All right. So John, in the past 6 months, I've also been observing your performance, and I've also gotten some feedback from your other team members as well. One of the things that I've noticed is that there are times, right? For example, in the last 3 weeks, you were working on 3 tasks, but 2 of those tasks did not meet the deadline, nor did they meet the quality expected. So I'm being very specific here. All right. So, those are not acceptable of an engineer. All right. And on top of that, I noticed that sometimes I wanted to speak to you. I realized that you have not been at your desk. And I see that sometimes you go missing from your desk for an hour or 2, and no one knows where you are. All right. That happened last week on Thursday and Friday. So I'm concerned about that. All right. All right. In addition, you know that the past 2 years you were with Max, who was your previous leader, and the performance was also not meeting expectations then. So I'm very concerned now about your current performance, and that HR has noted about this, and we have had a discussion. And I just wanted to let you know that if your performance continue, there is a big likelihood that this company is going to terminate your employment. See, so I tell him exactly what he didn't do well, and I tell him the specific what consequences are coming. All right, so that's the downside of it. Okay. So, but John, you know what? I'm your manager, or I'm your leader now, and I strongly believe in you that you want to be better, and I believe that you can contribute to the team as well. I believe in you, and I think together we can help you to be a more productive engineer in the team, and that you may well could be, if you put in the effort, you can be a model employees for other engineers. I would like to work with you to help you achieve your goals and be a better engineer. All right, so I end that. That's my evaluation. You see that? So even though I tell him, look, you're about to lose your job, but I tell him at the end that, hey, there's a hope for him. All right, so then I say, okay, John, I need you to go back and think about what is it that you want to do and how you can improve. And I will see you in a week's time. So I end the session here because you don't want to continue with grow at this point in time because it's just too much information. Give your evaluation, provoke some thoughts, ask the person, what do you want to do moving forward? How do you want to improve? Okay, go home, think about it. We'll set up another one-on-one next week. So when I come back, that's when I come in and do my grow model. So first thing I ask, okay, John, you have already had a week to think about it. Can you share with me what is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you want to do? Yeah. And then share with me where you are now. All right. Where do you think you are? What your obstacles are? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he will share with you obstacles. So I say, John, okay, that's thanks for sharing with me. So let's look at what are all the possibilities now. What are your strengths? What do you think your strengths are? What do you think you can do to overcome obstacle number 1? Okay, who is it that you can reach to? What sort of training do you need? Is there anything that I can help you with training, for example? What skills do you need to work on? Okay. And then last but not least, John, thank you for sharing with me your goals, your current situation, and what are all the possibilities that you can do. I just want you to realize that this is a journey to success and that you have to take this journey, and I will guide you. But let's be clear that you have to take this journey. You have to take action and put in the effort. All right. So let us now create an action plan with a start date and end date. And we will meet every month to review your action plan and your progress. I think together we can succeed. All right. So that's how I end the growth session. We establish the action plan and then we meet everyone to measure the progress. So in 2 sessions. All right. So after that, the action plan can be 6 months. So every month we evaluate. All right. So that's how I would do it. And that's how I have done it in the past. And it's been amazing. So it's the same thing at work. You have evaluation, you have appraisals, performance review, different company, different name. How often do you think it should be? Or how often do you review your team members? Or how often does your leader review you, give you feedbacks, give you appraisals? Some companies have got ratings, right? Some A, B, C, D, E, A's. Greatly exceed expectations. B is exceeding expectations. C is meeting expectations. D is underperformance, and E is totally not meeting expectations, or something like that. And once a year you get a rating or something like that. So a lot of companies have that, and sometimes that became an issue. So it's all about appraisals, evaluation. So how often do you think it should be? Share with me in the chat box. How often do you evaluate, or do you get evaluated? Every 6 months. All right. Anyone else? Monthly. Oh, very good. Every 6 months evaluation. So at least 3, beginning, mid, and end of the year project. Okay. For staff, once a year. How often? Every 1 year. All right. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever come across when it is time for performance evaluation, you get a rating that surprised you? You thought you did good, but then the actual rating is not so good. Right? Now, if you evaluate constantly, let's say every month or every 2 months or every 3 months, that rating should not be a surprise to a person. Means you give feedback. If a person is not doing well, he or she should know very early on already. So rating shouldn't be a surprise. All right. So ponder about that. If you have people surprised at your rating, chances are it means the evaluation wasn't frequent enough. All right. So that is what I can share with you at work. And that also concludes my session today. Now, before we go to the Q&A, I just want to thank each and every one of you for putting in the last 45 minutes or so to be here with me. And that all of you as leaders or leaders-to-be, you have a very important role to shape the lives and aspirations of the people that you work with. As leaders, you can make people better. Believe in that, and make sure you do that. Make people better, and your team will be stronger. And when your team are stronger, you will be a very effective leader. So I want to take the remaining time, 2 minutes or so, for any question and answers. Anyone? Please feel free to unmute. Or put in the chat box. All right. Thank you, Susanna. Thanks for the insight. Yeah. So no other questions. I don't see any questions or anyone unmuting. Yeah. Lee Po Chun, thank you. Thank you too. Welcome. Yeah. Hopefully all of you have learned a thing or two. All right, welcome, welcome. Yeah, Suriana, welcome. Akira, good to see you. Thank you. All right, so if not, then I will be seeing you. And of course, again, big shout out to Hani for being a great room agent and facilitator. Once again, thank you very much. Okay, Stephanie, yeah, you're welcome. Good to be sharing my expertise here. Yeah. Okay, so I'll try to upload some of the materials. I'll find a way to.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope you have all enjoyed yourself and learned a little bit of something to carry forward into your roles as an executive committee member. If you haven't yet, do fill in this feedback form. Toastmasters feedback is the breakfast of champions. So the more we learn from what has come to pass, the more we can prepare for what will be. So please, please, please let us know what you thought, whether you enjoyed it, whether you thought you could use a little bit more improvement. We all like receiving evaluations after our speeches. So for TLI, it is no different. We hope that we're able to receive some of your thoughts and opinions and hopefully carry it forward to the next TLI so that next year can be even better than today. All right. That's one workshop down and 2 more to go. Please click on that link and scan that QR code if you haven't already, and I'll just move on to the next bit. Next up, we have a choice of 3 different breakout rooms to choose from. Just will you choose to listen to our highly esteemed panelists who will be sharing stories and concepts and best practices from their club? Now, they're led by the lovely Ping Hendra, who's in this room right now. After that, if you feel like it, why don't you listen to Zilva, our district director herself. Now, if you don't know what a DCP is yet, or how I've been talking about how attending this TL, I will give you a DCP. Zilva will be there to tell you the in-depth in and outs of what a DCP healthy club is. And lastly, we have a workshop by our TLI coordinator herself, Miranda. Miranda will be discussing on how to listen to your members so you can develop and empower the people under your wing. So everyone, we're spoiled for choice. No matter what you choose, you're bound to have a good time. So Julius will now pull up the Zoom rooms and you will now be able to choose the breakout room of your choice. Just like before, you have 5 minutes to enter your room. Once the room assistant starts to introduce the speaker, please try not to leave your room. If for some reason the internet connection drops out and you get kicked out, please let us know immediately and we'll endeavor to place you back into the room of your choice. As always, please enjoy yourself and try your best to stay engaged throughout the session. Try your best to click and enter the breakout room. Our registration team will be taking attendance from the breakout room. So if you are not in the breakout room, unfortunately, you may not be able to receive your DCP point. It's a crying shame because everyone has made an effort to be here today. So please, please choose your breakout room. We've got about 200 people still in this room. So please do make a move on because your facilitators are waiting for you right on the other side. We will start at 3:30, so that's in the scant 5 more minutes. You've got 5 more minutes to get there. We're down to 170 now. I'm very happy with the way this is moving. So what will you be choosing today? Will you be listening to best practices from some of our best clubs in District 87? Will you be listening to Zilva, our district director, talking about DCP and how do you base your clubs on that DCP to maintain a healthy and sustainable environment? Next would be Miranda. Miranda will be talking about leading. How do you lead in a way that empowers others to lead along with you? So there are tons of things you can learn. You can learn about the technicalities of being a Toastmaster Club from Zilva. You can learn about how to improve yourself as a leader to lead others, or you could listen to some incredible stories from Toastmasters who's been in the field for a while and have proven tips and tricks that work for them and their clubs. Honestly, there are so many things to choose from, and you can't go wrong because no matter which session you go to, you're bound to learn something. And I hope that whatever attendance from the room. So if you are still here, there's a good chance that you might miss out on having your attendance being taken. So please leave this room when you are ready before 3:30 starts. That's in 3 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Please do make your way. If you are having trouble, please type in the chat group. Please type the room you want to go to in the chat group, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. We realize that some people might have trouble getting to the room of their choice. So please let us know and we will endeavor to help you with making a move. Previously, in the previous session, it was easier for our Zoom team to be able to allocate you because your name has your role in it. So if you're a president, we could drop you into the president's room. If you're an SAA, then to the SAA room you go. But for this room, we cannot make the decision for you because we do not know what you want to learn from. So it's very important that you put the room into your chat. Julius, is that you? Do you want to say a couple of things?
Yes, there is in the chat room. There's some people have difficulties to join the breakout room. So please stay. If you have problems, please stay. After everyone else have joined the room, we will assign you. We will address you one by one.
All right. Thank you very much, Pak Julius. So thank you. I see a couple of people who have begun to put in their numbers into the chat. There's quite a few of you. So do stay calm, be patient. We'll get to you in just a bit. Our Zoom team is working 100% trying to get everyone to where they want to go. In the meantime, if you haven't yet gone there, or if you're not sure how to get there, I'm gonna pull up this one. Remember that you can just click the button at the bottom yourself, click on breakout room in the bar, and click on choose breakout room so that you can join the breakout room of your choice. Remember, we have 3 choices between 3 incredible speakers, and you can't go wrong with whichever you choose. We are all spoke for choice today.
For listening session. For those who need credit to group DCP, please type your position, group abbreviation, position, and name into chat box, the same as your naming when you enter the room earlier. This will the proof of your attendance. So, and I will save the chat the registration for registration checking. And during the session, I will take candid photos, record the session. So it will publish on social media, such as the 87 YouTube channel. Let's begin. First, I would like to introduce our facilitator today, is Miranda. She was joined Toastmaster since 2008 in MTBC and T Advanced Master Club. Her current position is the 87 TLAC person, VP, and treasurer. And for the past leadership position was DVD, club president, VPA, VPM, VPR, and AD, area director. It's all positions. And I will read the short bio of her. She is the life coach, trainer, and speaker, and also writer. And the quote from her is, she is passionate about discovering developing potential, abilities, and opportunities for holistic healing and growth. And she is also the author of Listening Sexy. Okay, please help me welcome Toastmaster Miranda.
Thank you, Brisma. I'm happy to be here. And okay, let's start. Right. Okay, let me just say this first. This session is about listening, but it's actually not a listening course, not a listening workshop. So that means because you are all leaders, I assume that you already have some listening skills. Otherwise, you would be leaders. So we're not going to be going into details about how to listen exactly, but rather how to use the listening. Okay with that? Yes? All right, I'm going to start with the first question for me. So what kind of leaders and members would you like to? Can anybody answer that? I mean, I hope you guys will answer it. Say the qualities, the characters of leaders that you'd like to with when. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of chat here about your groups. Are you able, Brisma, can you just, oh, okay, there it is, yes. Engaging, active, cooperative, leading, the kind to empower each other. Yes, yes, high, innovative, fun. Yeah, there's a lot. I agree with all of that. And for me personally, these are the ones that are kind of like first come into mind for what I would like. Yeah, so I agree with all of what you said. To me, it's very important to have good team. Anything. First, you need to do events. You need to have exco times. You know, finding the team for your expos. So rule number one is accountability. No matter how brilliant, how amazing, how clever a person is, you cannot work with them. It's not going to be conducive. It's going to be hard for you to. Would be that. And this is what I would start to be looking for. So I'll start. Like you know, you don't always have who are ready easily compatible with you, right? Sometimes you have difficulty in finding them. Agree? Ask you before we get to this. In a scale of 1 to 10, how easy or difficult it is for you to find leaders you can work easily with? Okay, I 3, 7. So some have 9 easily. Okay. Yes. So a variety from 3 to 9. I haven't seen a 2 yet. Okay. First, I would like to ask those who said 9s. So there's somebody here from SCBD. Hold on. Shauki. Unmute yourself and share with me. What does your 9 mean? Is it very easy for you? Is it whenever you want to leader, it's very easy to have the cooperation, the harmony? Okay. Yes.
Hi everyone, okay, I'm the SA for SGBD. So to me, 9 means a lot of, because we as a team member as well need to adapt to new leaders, right? Sometimes we as a member adapt to new leaders. And the thing for me, if I join another team or if I join, let's say for example, a different team, make sure that I know about the leaders first. Basically, I adapt a little bit. I don't know why, but for past experience as becoming a member on a certain organization, it's always easy for me to connect leader, and I get the leader that is easily be able to work with. Just like my president SGB, he is a real awesome guy, and he's really know how to tidy things up in terms of our club and also arrange. So yeah, I
Yeah.
say adaptability. I guess adaptability, I guess.
Sounds like, yes, well, I'm hearing all that. It sounds, but for me, what I'm hearing, okay, let's listen to somebody with an 8. Wow, Jade Tang. Jade, would you like sharing?
Make him or her usually to me it's very easy to work with because I believe cause and effect. When we ourselves be good person to be working with, then you will always attract those kind of people from you. So
Okay.
that's my own personal opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I think it's pretty similar between Shauki and Jade, so that you have changed yourself, be a certain personality to do that, right? We can tell you, Shauki and Jade, kind of like the higher you go in the leadership ladder, it's not as easy to always be like that, right? You find kind of personalities, you don't have a choice who you have to work with, or sometimes you have a choice and that's great. So I would like out people who are actually having more difficulties and teammates and to work with, because I look at the pre-work that you guys sent, and a lot of says like it's to find leaders who want to lead in the club, or to find us to do backs, to volunteer, and so it ends up a lot of them have to do a lot of things themselves, being able to divide the responsibilities and the load together. So let me ask the number first. Right here I see Cody from MTC. Cody, will share what is your 3? Please share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 3 is basically on the leaderships with of a room for improvement, especially on how dedicated he was, how he to give his support to the team members, not just giving his instructions. So the presidents that the member wants is the president that who can really goes to the ground and assist them, and listen to the others' goals on what are the challenges are, and provide necessary advice and any aids or tools that can help them to execute the less. I think we can't put it that way to a poor president leaderships, but I think it's about the whole team to help each other. This is what I'm looking for. Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
So yeah, so you're hoping, you're talking about a he, so you want, let's say, the president to have that ability, so you can bring the team together, something like that. Cody?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. All right. So I think maybe I didn't clarify my focus for this. It's about finding, developing leaders, not just finding somebody who's already ready. Yeah, see potentials, and sometimes you have people who are so smart, but it's not easy to work with for whatever reason. Because when you can work together, there's a sense of ease. You don't get stressed. You don't do too much. Everybody like share the load. And so leaders, if you're going to be in Toastmasters, anywhere else outside of Toastmasters as well, always looking to, into the future, right? You're not just working with the people right now, but you want to develop people become leaders. And so this is the focus of this workshop. And so let's move on a little bit. I think we'll get to that in a little bit. So the difficulty in finding leaders is when, I think the measure is this, when being an exco is kind of like hard, when it takes a lot of energy and you feel like you have to do a lot. So that's what means you don't have a good team, the team that you can easily work with. So, okay, let's this question. If you can just answer in the chat, if after what I said, consider it is not as easy to find leaders that you can work easily with, right? So why it's difficult to find leaders or members who can work well with you? Okay, shared values is not easy to find because we should create our believer. Okay. Personality mismatch, they can't get communication aspect, experience. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, many reasons, right? You probably have that from your experience. But I do believe there is a common denominator that can help you overcome this challenge. And what do you think is? What do you think that is? So if you can have one, because I mean, if you look at all these, they're very different. That means like you have so many different approaches, but there's also one thing I feel that I experience that is a common ground that you can your approach from. Okay, somebody asked communication, and let me ask a question. What do people crave for in life? And I'm not talking about things, not about money, not about things, but people really crave for, long for. Okay, I give you, yep, and is one of it. What about being accepted, being heard, mattering? That is an important thing that people want, opportunities, partners, but yeah, go a little bit deep. It's some people want, even if you want success, what does it really give? Respect, acceptance, right? So seen, yeah, so we're getting closer there. Okay, we don't go to, yeah. I'll just bring it down to one single thing, because all those things, you know, the listen, share value, action, respect, those all comes through this. That listening, you got the listening, all right? But like I said earlier, we're not going into the details of the listening. All right, it's okay. So what kind of listening? I already said you guys know how to listen, because otherwise yes, a leader. What kind of listening? So this is what I'm going to show: willingness to serve and have open. Yes. All right. So what about this? Listening isn't just about being quiet. It's about listening to what is said, what is unsaid, and what is meant with your eyes, ears, heart. You guys agree with that? Please share with me if you agree with that. Okay. An exclamation there with a lot of yes. So you really like that, right? Oops, sorry. What happens? Okay. All right. So what kind of listening? So I'm trying to make this as possible because I want to have a lot of theories to think about it. So the first kind of listening is to understand. Understand is ask questions, inviting free self-expression, what is said, what is said about pain, dreams, and needs. And the other side here that you wrote here, how in listening, the golden rule applies. Do you guys know the golden rule? Yeah, a little bit like that. Understand first to be understood. Do others like how you would like it to be done to you, right? So it's when that's listen. You remember when somebody listens to you, and imagine listen to others like the way you'd like to be listened to. So how did they listen? What did they when they listens to you? Like they let you speak. So when you listen, you let the other person speak. You finish sentences, and then they ask questions. So you use your asking questions. You question them questions. So you listen to their ideas, support their ideas, and all these things. Okay, but to understand, we want to listen for. We want to listen to a person's pain, the dream, the need. And what I mean by this, in my own experience, when I want to look for to leaders, I usually listen, I pay attention. Listen, like I usually would start with paying attention, like they may show spark, may show some special something. And if I have them in team or develop them to be able to work with me as I go along. So I have a one-on-one conversation, a way to have one-on-one conversation and really listen to their story. So asking a lot more questions and willing to hear what they say and just get the feeling where they come from. And when you listen more and more to a person, then usually the stories will come out. Fears, stories, shame even, and some insecurities. And as a leader, you want to pay attention to that, because some people who have great potentials, but they're very insecure, they have confidence, and or they have such low self-esteem. So this ability, this special and uniqueness just doesn't come out. But if you're able to see that, you're able to help them. And also from listening to their dreams and what they need. Acknowledgement, a sense of belonging. And if you look at this need, this is why we're in touch, most of us, right? So, and then what kind of list? Identify what their potentials are or get the sense what they need, then we can respond. And once we start responding, listening, supporting their dreams and looking for opportunities also for to be able to go and develop, now you're going to have a closer or a deeper trust and reciprocity. Usually when people feel heard, feel understood, feel like they matter and they important, then they would grow. They would grow and they would develop and grow bigger. Do you guys agree with that? Okay, yeah. All right, so I'm not going to go far in this because I want to go into something that is very important. So this is how you respond: the support, guidance, and opportunity. And now we have, yeah, 10 minutes maybe. So now this was something that people get so much out of. It's about the listening process. To be able to identify, once you see there are people that you want to work with, or people you would like to some compatibility, but you also want them to develop. So now you would listen. First step is listen carefully. I think everybody already knows what listen carefully means. Using contact and listening carefully to what they say, and all those I guess I would say physical listening skills that people already heard about. However, just listening carefully not enough. Why? Because sometimes we listen and then we respond, and that respond could be a make it or break it for a relationship. What I mean by that, say maybe you have experienced it. I definitely have experienced it myself. I experienced something that is probably hard or difficult for me, and then I'm sharing it with somebody. I had a difficult day, or I had something just didn't work in my life. I was telling the person, and then the person listened, pay attention, look at me, and then when this, then they, oh, don't worry about it. Things will get better. You're like, there are more bigger struggles than that. Have you ever experienced when you start speaking and somebody just either minimize what you're saying or you advise, when all you want is just to be acknowledged and just to, have you ever experienced that? Yeah, always. Oh, always. Okay, let's hope we can get always. So yeah, so just listening, if really do this next steps, is just not enough. The next step is very, very important. It's not uncommon, but it doesn't mean that we should tolerate that, right? Because it still pains us. Imagine you have to share, or you have something that is very, very personal and very important for you to share, and then you get very missing response, and you don't feel hurt, feel lost, and you feel very alone in that, right? Okay, so let's look at this next. Now, this is not very common, but I'm hoping that you guys learn this. Identify emotions, seek to understand the emotion. So when somebody is talking about a story, maybe about the possibility of getting fired or something, that having to fire somebody. Have you ever experienced that when you have to give a review to your subordinates or people that work for you, and you have to give deliver that news, right? And then so you tell your friend, my God, I really don't like this. I tell my colleague, my had not been doing well, and may even have to fire them. So when you share with that with somebody else, with your friend, and as the listener, hearing somebody talk like that, yeah, some people say, oh, don't worry, it'll be okay, right? Isn't that the worst thing that you could have said? But on the other hand, you can also trying to understand what is really going on with this person. What is their, wow, they probably feel scared, they feel uncomfortable. So you start thinking about it, and then yeah, you can ask questions. How do you do about that? I mean, how do you feel about that? Does that make you feel or you can already start guessing, like, wow, that's a hard thing to do. How are you feeling? Or you can guess, that must be hard, right? I can't imagine how that would have, and the person will probably say, yeah, yeah, and then they probably will talk some more, right? Okay, somebody's hard to guess the emotion behind the words. It's hard to get emotion behind words if you listen to the words. As you listen to words, just what this must be feeling. What would I be feeling if I'm going through that? Usually when you reflect yourself, you will, wow, yeah, I would feel scared. I would feel even, right? So just share that, and you can guess. You don't have to correct. They need to hear that. They need to hear that validation, that acknowledgement, because this step about you trying to understand what they want. I mean, what they're through. Okay, and asking questions is a good way to date. Yes, you can. That's how you do it. You know, how do you feel about that? If you don't know, you cannot guess, right? How does it feel? Or you say, like, I would feel like this if it was me. More. Tell is the best phrase for listening. Okay, and the last part is, so this is how it is. Like, you know, when you validate, there's also an invalidation. What the person is feeling and express it in words so that it is okay to feel that way. That is sad. I totally get what you're feeling that way. So that's how you kind of like say. And invalidation, you know, the example earlier is what makes you feel, yeah, invalidated. That's the word saying, like, it's not a big deal. Or if you hear somebody said to you, it's not a big deal. It could have worse. You're lucky. You should be grateful. Don't you hate it when somebody just said, feel like I should? Inside, you feel struggling, you're still feeling the pain, or she's still angry. And it's like, okay, just tough it up, suck it up. And people, your friends, that's what cancer is made of. You know, when you suppress your emotion, when allowing yourself to feel, diabetes, migraine, high headaches, or ulcers, those are all coming from you press your feelings, your emotions. Okay, so don't do that to others. All right. Okay, I'm gonna say, yes, you will have the recording and the slides within a week. Okay, so this is validation. I want to get to the most important part, which is never give unsolicited advice. With me, yes, if you have received often received solicited advice asking for it. Exactly. I was going to ask you, how do you, when advice, when asking for heard, encouraging, and you don't feel heard, right? It feels like your sharing is point. Yes. So if you forget anything from what I said earlier, remember this one. Never give unsolicited advice unless they ask for it. And so when they share, they don't want advice. They just want validation and some acknowledgement. Okay. Yes, most people only need to be listened to, and it is so right. The biggest help that you can give someone is usually to listen to. You don't even have to words. Well, if you go to the next session, I'm going to talk a little bit deeper about the negotiation class. But yeah, if you don't know what to say better than anything, just nod or yeah, agree and let them just speak, and that would usually help a lot of people feeling better, lighter, rather than after they pour their heart to you and then an advice. You that, right? You experience, you open up your heart, you open feelings, and you just give advice of what we have done before, and it feels like they don't care. It feels like they don't listen to you. They don't try to understand. So, okay. I'm going to this summary is that you can only be a better leader if you know who you're leading, know your people. You need to understand and to respond. You know your people. So how does this link with the developing and empowering? You start. The world is full of people feel they're not understood, seen, given the opportunities, they don't matter. So when you listen in this world, those people, when they can feel that somebody cares, they will give the distance, and they're willing to grow and try new things. And this is how I did this TLI. Getting so many people, getting like a team to work and having very relaxed time doing that, because it's with okay. So please, if you have any question or any situation that you would like to share and or ask questions about. Okay, so Adlan Murshid, yeah, you said that when I open up, I'm looking at advice and solution. Yes, you can be very clear about that. Just say, you know, your advice. Most people, I would say, when they're allowed to start listening, when they come to an experience being truly listened to and allowed to finish what they're talking about without being interrupted, without being questioned, they usually discover the answers themselves, the solutions, and it's almost like you're talking and you're talking and you're talking, and the person, good listener of you, and I get it, I know what I should do, or I understand this is happening. Try that, and yeah, okay. Okay, this is a good. Why do you think listening to empower is so important to develop leaders? Okay, I'm talking from a perspective that I'm the higher leader than the people. Opportunities that you can see, that usually you would have a greater perspective things, and to see this person has great potentials, can do so many things, and nobody sees that. So that person just amble along and not growing, developing. But if you're able to see that, you take that opportunity to help. I think one of the responsibilities of a leader. Greater authority, the more you have, all greater responsibility you have. Does that make sense, Lisa?
Yep. Yes, I think that understand the person and let them know you heard them. And that gives them confidence, yeah.
I missed the last word.
Confidence.
Confidence.
Someone notices that they can do something.
Yeah. I totally, like when you see somebody, when you have faith in them, you say, I see something in you. Everybody remembers Jaya's speech, right? I see something in you. And even that word can already change somebody. I remember saying to a guest who eventually became a member, and he kept repeating that. He said that I always say, I see something in you. And that just gave him confidence, even though we don't know what that is something, but it feel like, wow, there's something in me. And he spends time looking what is. And this is the thing, Lisa, you need teams, things you develop personally, that you empower, they will be easier to work with. And when you have people like that, people who are like you, all the things that especially that can work with you, then you don't need a huge people, and you can usually the teamwork is much smoother and much easier, and everybody can be entrusted, do their own things and take the initiatives and carry on with that. Okay, I have a lot of questions here. Let me see. How can we listen? It's not our ears, our heart too. Okay, Julina. Yes, I did mention it, right? The easiest way to answer that is not to just words. When people are saying words, use to feel. Do you feel something? Does your body react to it? And it's because sometimes we hear words, right words, somehow in your heart, you already feel like this doesn't seem to connect. So listening to that. Yeah. And I would even ask, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? And get people to expand more on what they're saying so that we hear more of what they say, and then you usually would get a better idea. And then you match that right with your ears. So what I mean by eyes, sometimes people, oh, I'm good at this, I do this, I'm always this, or I'm always that. But then you see in their behaviors, they don't always match. So you start paying attention to that. And then maybe you even question, you can say, I heard you mention this, but then, I saw you did this and this, and a little bit more, what was going on there? Something like that, right? And when you listen, to use your perceptive skills and your detective skills. What is that? Perceptive skills is what you see, what you hear, what you sense, and you put all that together with the clues you get and knowledge that you have, put it together. Usually you'll be able to have a greater perspective of understanding and listening. Okay, this is a very good question I saw. Sometimes listeners will not have the capacity, be it emotion, etc., to listeners at the moment. How do we politely decline and at the same reassure them that we are there for them? All right, so Keanu, this is, if you class, my listening class, I talked about this, that you need to be honest, right? We focus to because if you really listen, it and that like really not thinking, not having the thoughts going What happened? Okay, the record. Okay. Yeah. What I would say about focus. So about it. If you say like you're not in the space to listen, you would say to that person, sorry, but at this moment, I don't have the capacity, and say that word because people understand what that means instead of like, I'm not focused or I'm busy. See, you don't have capacity, the mental and emotional capacity to listen right now. So this would be a service if I'm sitting and listening to you. What if we take a time to listen? Maybe set a time and really set a time. Let's say this afternoon, we chat for 10 minutes or an hour or even less. So be very with about that. And usually I would suggest to my students, we don't have the capacity, just say, well, I think I have the capacity. The person will feel it. I'm sure you've experienced that. Somebody in front of you feel that they're there. It hurts when it's like that. It's better to be honest about that. Help. Okay. All right. So I have 1 more minute to answer this question. How we make someone open up so we can listen to their problems? Okay. Open up. You need to use open-ended questions. Do you know what that means? Open-ended. Example, like, how do you feel? Would you like? I'm knowing what more about this. What is really going on? Things like that, and the open-ended questions. So rather than closed questions, I don't know if you guys know what closed question. It's answered by what? How many words? Yes or no? Or just one word? Have you eaten? Yes. And then do you like this? Right? Yes or no? Or just something that, because that is really cuts the conversation. Want to have the simplest way to think about open-ended question is, how do you feel about this? How does that sound to you? Or what do you think about this? Something like that, right? That usually continues conversation. Yeah, time is up. I need to make a summary of this, but if you're interested, you can join me in my next session in negotiation, and I go a little bit deeper with listening. Okay, so in summary, I think you guys are conscious, aware about listening, looking at the questions, so you're already thinking about that. And I said there's an interest in understanding or knowing more how to listen. So in summary, say, this last is the easiest one to think about, right? This 4. So just identify if you can. So start looking at the emotions. What are they really wanting to say? Reflect with your, like, if I were in that situation, how would I feel? Then I did. Well, means like express it, say words, sense. This is what I'm through. Okay, like here. So that's when you going to validate emotions. Be curious and see, these are all open-ended questions, right? How do you feel? What make you feel? Or you just say, I'm sensing. It seems to me. It sounds to me. Those are all the guessing, and it's okay to say that. And again, I want you to remember that don't worry about guessing, because even when you guess wrong, it gives the other person they they can see that you want to try to understand them. And the second, they can get a chance to correct you. And when they correct you, then they will say, no, that's not what I'm reading is like this, right? So they actually share more with you. So that is about validation. And the last one is most important thing, just don't give advice unasked. And even when you want to give advice, when you can help yourself, you can ask, would you like me to give you my input? Or prefer continue talking? It could be like that, right? And when they say yes, yes, but you can sense that they're not sincere, wanting your advice, you can say that. You can say, I'm hearing a yes, but I'm sensing there's also a hesitance about that. Would you tell me about that? Yeah. So I know there's so much to share here in little time, but I will give you you will all receive the materials, all this. It will come in one link, so then you can start choosing from whom, and I will give sources in that of links so that you can further your training or studying of. I hope it helps, and I think our time is up. So let me know, enjoyed this. And yeah, if you want to know more, let me know also that, so maybe we can get a bigger course or bigger workshop later on in the year. And thank you so much for your presence and for listening. Thank you, Sana. Yeah, and we can just open the unmute everybody if everybody wants to sing or ask openly. I think we almost have about 1 minute to get back to the main.
Sorry, Mira. May I ask what are 2 steps again?
Sorry, are you somebody question?
Yes. What were the first 2 steps again? I didn't catch that.
The first 2 steps. Okay. So the first one is listen carefully. This is very general. You know, have the intention to use eye contact. It's very, you know, if you don't use eye contact, the person is not going to feel hurt at all. And then listen carefully what they do. The next, after listening carefully, very important. Don't advice. All right. So you do that. You're trying to say, what are they feeling? What would I be feeling? Should, right? Understanding behind this and just focus, because you know so many conflicts, so many arguments and happen because you only focus on the words and then you argue about the words. You said, oh, you said this, they're not this, go around and around because they never go underneath those words to see what the person is reading or needing. All right. So, well, if you have any question, you can send it to me. Yes, third and important, that's the real action of listening, that verb of.
The room will be closed in less than 10 seconds.
All right. Bye. Thank you again.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone, and welcome back to the main room. I trust that everyone had a more in-depth knowledge about the session that you went to. I'd like to request that if you haven't already, please take the time to fill in these feedback survey. Now, every time we go through a session, we would like feedback for that particular session. Your feedback will help us to understand what went well as what could we improve on in terms of the TLI as well as for the speakers themselves, because we always want to know what we can do to make it an even better experience, not just for ourselves, but for everyone that we speak to. So please scan that QR code or click on the link in the group chat, or you can type in the. All right, thank you very much for participating. We'll now move on to the final session because 2 down, 1 to go. This time around, we also have 3 workshops for you to choose from. As always, the decision is in your hands. Our first option comes from none other than our immediate past district director himself, the cute, the charismatic, distinguished Toastmaster, Alan Ang. He'll be talking about how do you get your team to work more cohesively together so that everyone can move towards a common goal. Next would be distinguished Toastmaster Pipit Andriani. Now, she's lovely, she's beautiful, she is knowledgeable, and that's why she's going to teach us all about how do we recruit and retain members within our own clubs. Lastly, we have distinguished Toastmaster Miranda Rumi again, and she'll be talking about negotiation, persuasion, and motivational strategies, so we can use this to pitch to people around us to get them to take in a certain message. Right, now that we know who we are going to go for, let's have our Zoom host, Pak Julius, bring up the 3 choices for the breakout rooms. And again, we have 5 minutes to enter into our desired room. However, once the Zoom assistant has started to introduce the speaker, please try not to move around to other rooms. Our registration team will be taking attendance.
Hi, Toastmaster Pipit. Okay.
Hello. Sorry guys, I'm not using background because if I use it, my half face is gone.
That's okay, DCM Pipit. We're still waiting for the others to come and attend. Okay.
Do I have approximate like how many minutes we will start?
You can start at 3:30.
So another 5 minutes?
Yes. We will wait for the others to come. Okay, 3 minutes to go. So I will give several information to all the participants. Hello, everyone. My name is Astri, and I will be serving you as your room assistant today. And welcome to the How to Recruit and Retain Member Breakout Room. This is a TLI, Toastmaster Leadership Institute session, specially dedicated to inform you about how to recruit and retain member. For those who need credit towards Club DCP, please type your division, club abbreviation, position, and name into the chat box, the same as your naming format when you enter the main room earlier. This will be the proof of your attendance. I will save the chat and send it to the registration team for checking. And during the session, I will also take the candid photo. And please note that the session will be recorded and will be published at social media, such as District 87 YouTube channel. Again, the candid photos, the chat, and also the recording will also be the proof of your attendance. And let's begin. I will call our trainer, and it will be distinguished Toastmaster Pipit Andriani. She is a teacher, as professional, she is a teacher, and she has been joined Toastmaster since 2010. Now, she is a dual member in Eagle and also Bhinneka Online Toastmaster Club. Currently, she serves as Sergeant at Arms, and previously, she served as Division Director, Club President, VPE, VPM, VPPR, Secretary, Treasurer, SAA, and also Area Director. I think that's all from our awesome speaker. So I will give all the control to distinguished Toastmaster Pipit. Distinguished Toastmaster Pipit, the screen all yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Toastmaster Astri. For those who probably noticed, I've been in the role of all exco roles in Toastmasters, actually each 2 times. So I know how you feel, whether you are a president, whether you are DPE until SAA, I know how you feel. And we share somehow the same problems almost every year. And with or without you are being in the exco, I'm sure you notice that we also have the same problem every year, which is recruiting and retaining members. Isn't that really hard? I find that actually quite hard too. That's why we need to learn this even every year too. And since this is the pandemic, I will try to modify the slides that has been provided by Toastmasters International. So there you go. I will share the screen. How to recruit and retain members. First of all, there will be a Mentimeter check. I will put it in the chat box. Okay, please go to the chat box and go to this Mentimeter and let's answer the questions. Are you happy with your club's current situation? Yes or no? Okay. Yes, keep it coming, keep it coming. It's on the chat box, people. So yes, no, not sure. What are you talking about? Of course, I love my club. Only few, come on, I still have time for some more. No, put it in the menti.com. I put it in the chat box. Okay, it's fine, yeah. So no, yes, needs to improve. Yes, in most part, that's my second home. Great, that means you're not homeless, congratulations. Okay, so basically, most of you here at least say yes. So that's the good news. Now let's go to the second question. How do you feel when you attend your club meetings? This is the Menti again, please answer it. How do you feel when you attend your club meetings? Give me adjectives. Confused, happy, nervous, boring, bored, not boring, empty. Oh, somebody actually messaged me, said, I feel so empty. Wow. Okay, amazing, nervous, great, bored. Okay. Okay. Unwilling before meeting. All right. So dull, yes. All right. So although some negative words are there, I think dominantly it's good, right? I can tell, yeah. I can tell most of them are positive, although a few negative here and there. And it's okay to be negative as long as you're honest. Yeah. We need to be honest about this because this is the reason why probably have a problem with membership. Okay, thank you for your participation. Now let's go back to my slide. The reason I ask you about this is because it's important to check. The general rule of thumb is if you feel it's positive, reduce it by 50%. That means this is probably what your guests feel. Okay, I'm feeling positive about my club. I'm happy. Well, probably because you know the people there. But for your guests, probably they know the people there. So your happiness level, your happy level, reduce it by 50%. That would be how you imagine your guests feel about the club. Now, if it's negative, if it's dull, if it's stressful, if it's so slow, or is it yada yada, if you're a guest, amplify it by 50%. So if you think it's boring, it will be a lot more boring for the guests because they have no reason to like this club. They don't have any emotional bond to this club. So if it's boring to you, you can imagine it's even twice as much boring for your guests. So if you feel unhappy with your club, from Leo Tolstoy, all happy families are alike, but every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. So is your club. Of course, we have very limited time here. We cannot address the problems that each club has under District 87, right? But bottom line is every club has unique problems. The only similarity is all of them have a duty to fix the problem. Okay, so if you're unhappy with your club, particularly if you're on the exco, you need to talk about it with your club members or with your exco members at least. There's no way around it to solve this particular problem. If you yourself unhappy, then other people will be unhappy too, because unhappiness is just like happiness. They are contagious. But somehow, before we move on to the promotion and stuff, to the recruiting members and stuff, we need to realize that if our memberships dwindle, it's actually almost expected. It's actually very normal. Don't beat yourself too much over it. Why do you think there are 2 DCP goals every year to add 8 new members? 8 new members every year. Are you crazy? Toastmasters International? They are not crazy. There's a reason to this. The reason to this is that people change. Their priorities change. Sometimes their personality change. Sometimes their circumstances change. Of course, we cannot expect everyone to stay in your club or in Toastmasters, right? Sometimes they get married, sometimes they have kids, sometimes they get a divorce, they move jobs, they lost jobs, they have double jobs, they move to different city, different country, they have 2 boyfriends or 2 girlfriends they have to share their time with. That's why no time for Toastmasters, for example. There are so many circumstances that human beings have. That's why it's normal if suddenly there's one person used to be very active, then all of a sudden no longer active, which is the reason why we need to add 8 new members, ideally every year, because on normal rate, there will be 8 people, or hopefully not 8, maybe 4 or 5, who will lose, at least in attention, if not in membership, right? And also there are people who have their own problems. For example, there are people who literally have time management skill, right? We thought like we're busier than this person, but we still know how to carve out time for Toastmasters. For some reason, there are people who cannot get their head around it. It's really hard for them to solve their time management issue. And as an outsider, it's really hard for us to even, help probably for this person because their job is probably even worse than their record in Toastmasters. So if our membership dwindle, we no need to beat ourselves too much over it. But what we can do is, okay, try to recruit other people who probably can not replace, but replenish the motivation or the energy in our club. There are three things to remember about recruiting new members and also retaining them. If you're not happy, others won't be too, because unhappiness is contagious. So there's one person who usually become the sore thumb in the club. This person will rub on others. This is easy to notice, right? There's one person who's like doing this in the meeting. Just try. Maybe we need to do a social experiment someday in an online meeting, right? When others are smiling or being encouraging, there's one person who keep a sour face. Then some people will notice it and then wonder what happened with this person. Oh, it's not fun anymore because of this. Like there must be something wrong. Even though it's a little, it will affect the other members. That's why if there's unhappiness happening in the club, we need to address it right away before it rubs on other members. The next one is our club branding is like a piggy bank. Think of it like a piggy bank. We cannot build our club brand overnight, right? Suddenly posting one thing on social media about our club and suddenly, wow, our club looks really cool. It doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, we have to do this consistently so people notice that actually our club is really good and probably worth visiting or worth a chance for them to be a guest or to look at. For example, one of my clubs is Bhinneka Toastmasters Club. When I did my presentation about Toastmasters, I noticed several of my friends became a member right away. Blah, 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 they private chat me, sign me up, I want to register, save a spot for me, blah, 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 blah. I think probably by the end of my speech, 6 people registered at the same time through the chat box. And then one of my friends asked me, teach me how to do it. How did you do your presentation? How did you close the deal and blah, blah, blah. Actually, they joined Toastmasters not because of my speech, but because of what I post on social media. I post about Toastmasters almost consistently for the last 10 years. So my friends are familiar with Toastmasters brand on my social media. So what they need is just a little push. Hey, do you want to be a member? Like that. And suddenly, why did you ask just now? I've been always wanting to ask you, but no one asked me. Something like that. So this is actually something that we need to build overnight. If you post negative stuff about the club, then imagine as taking away this. Okay, this is called being cool by association. So what type of, okay, this is this club. If you join this club, means you are productive people, for example. Then yes, this is so me. I want to join. Yes, I'm productive too, for example. Then there would be, probably will join. Or although when they don't find time, for example, to attend regularly, at least they feel it in their heart, okay, I'm part of the productive people called blah, blah, blah club, for example. So this is actually really good reason to join a club. Now, this one is from Toastmasters, and I have a duty to deliver this to you. The standard promotion of your club must be done consistently. You can talk to your friends, like relatives, co-workers, or at least tell the people how you feel about Toastmasters on social media. And I'm not talking about the social media of your club. This also you as the members. If you can, encourage your members to also post about it because it will pique people's interest. You post every 2 weeks, people start to notice, what is this thing? What is this thing? So this will build the social brand that I talked about earlier. Second, members post about your club meetings before and after. Consistency is the key. So there's invitation posters, ask them to post it as well. And then after the meeting finished, you create poster, another poster, like reflection of poster, a kind of poster, and then also post it. Ask them to post it also on social media. Consistency is the key. Of course, in this digital era, creating social media is a must, but also make them active. I've seen a lot of clubs who have social media, but only post once in 6 months, for example. Then it doesn't create any effect that way because it's not consistent. And probably this is something that I see most often. Sometimes the registration form is too long, or it's almost like a turn off almost, because in this digital era, especially during the pandemic, people join webinar almost daily, and they're so sick of filling out this form after form after form, getting this from the email. Like it or not, it will actually affect their psychology. So if there are people who probably find it lazy to fill in the registration form, fine. Actually, in my opinion, just give them the link. It's actually fine. Don't be a stickler, at least in the beginning, because you want them to actually come first to Toastmasters and let them taste it. Let them taste how the meetings go and how it makes them feel, for example. So if there are people who are too lazy to register, just forgive them. Okay. But the goal is to get them to come, not to fill out the form. Because if they fill out the form, there's no guarantee that they will come anyway. So it's almost 50-50. The end goal is to get them to come to your meeting. So I usually don't mind send the link to the people that I think will join Toastmasters, and I don't really bother about registration form, although it's still necessary. The standard treatments of guests. We need to greet the guests and make them feel welcome. If you're not sure, you even need to assign someone to do this before, during, and after the meeting. Sometimes, okay, we rely on each other. Somebody probably speak to the guests already, right? I don't have to do it. But guess what? You guys rely on each other. We rely on each other. Then no one ended up talking to the guests at all. No one ended up inviting the person to come to the next meeting, for example. So if you're in the exco, assign one person to do this, to be the chatty person in the chat box if it's online meeting, right? When the guests come before the meeting, ask them to talk about how did you hear about this meeting, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you know the drill. During the meeting, you can even private chat them on the chat box. By the way, I'm also from blah, 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 and then after the meeting, if they stick around, just chat a little bit, because it will you only have one chance to make a good first impression. And this is actually during the first time when they become guests in your club. If it's a three-dimensional meeting, someone sit with a guest during the meeting. Don't let this guest sit by herself or himself in the corner and no one talks to this person. This is a big no. We need to have someone to chat with this guest and sometimes explain what is going on during a meeting. Although whispering, yeah, because we don't want it to be too loud. Ask for their contact and give them your contact. This is something that is usually overlooked because we thought, okay, I have their contact on the form somewhere on my Google Drive, but probably don't even look at it, right? So ask the person directly, hi, can I have your WhatsApp number? And also next meeting, send them your posters, invite them a little bit personally, maybe not just sending them poster, and also give them your contact so they save your contact. Okay. Ask them personally. I've seen this a lot. Sometimes you just need to add their name. Hello, Rizka, how are you? Toastmaster meeting, blah, blah, blah. Instead of just give them the registration link and then the poster and that's it. Because I'm sure you get a lot of these things a lot anyway, right? And we don't usually react to it at all. That's why we need to personalize these messages if we want to invite guests. Keep it personal. Always keep it personal, helpful, and friendly. Sometimes if you put it like in a generic invitation, just a poster, register, blah, 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 the way we usually broadcast it to them, if they have questions, they're even reluctant to do it because, oh, this is sent to everyone, not to me personally, right? Even though they have questions, sometimes they will not ask you because it doesn't feel like they have been addressed personally. So just like I said earlier, it's really important to put at least their name or just a little bit of line before all of these invitations and posters. Okay, don't rely on broadcast, talk to them personally. Last but not least, you only have one chance to make the first impression. And there's one quote from Homer: a guest never forgets the host who had treated him or her kindly. And I think by this, we can try to recruit more members for our club. Thank you. Yes, Astrid, let's go to Q&A.
Yes, everyone, if you have any question to distinguished Toastmaster Pipit, you can raise your hand or you can type in the chat room. Is there anyone who wants to ask a question to DCM Pipit? Someone already
yes.
give the question.
Since we are in Toastmasters, I would like the person to actually speak instead of type it up. So Andika from SCBD, please explain your question.
Hi, DTM Pipit. Thank you for the opportunity. When I asked a friend of mine or colleague of mine, sometimes I got too excited about, presenting our club, our meeting, and so on. And sometimes they get, their fear about what am I going into? So how do we attract that without getting so excited and oversell it?
Wow, actually, I'm usually excited and I tend to sound like oversell it myself. But I think the way I control myself is take turn talking. We take turn talking with our prospective members. Sometimes we're so excited, we're the only one talking. By the way, this is the website. Oh, by the way, this is our YouTube channel. Oh, by the way, did you know, blah, 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 blah. You actually minimize their time to respond back to you. So give a little bit, ask them to respond. After the person responds, give another one, ask to respond. So it will be two-way communication, right? And without us realizing it, it will serve as a break for us, as a break. It's a break, B-R-A-K-E, break for us. So we don't sound so excited, but I like excited person. So being excited is fine. More likely it does you good than it does you bad anyway. So do not reduce your excitement. Does it answer it, or you're not happy with that, Dika?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, now Ramasdin from JTC, please explain your answer. Oh, sorry, your question.
Yes. How if the guest come, he's interested and to become a member, but he feel inferior because his English is not as good as the people who present at that time. Thank you.
You know what I really like about Toastmasters is we come from many different backgrounds, right? I've never seen a club that has all of their members good speakers. Is it correct? I mean, is there anyone who belong to a club here with all of the members excellent speakers? I'm sure not. There must be maybe one or two at least who are still learning, right? You can use this person as the encouragement. You see, in our club, not everyone is a good speaker. Actually, a lot of them are still learning. For example, Toastmaster blah. For example, Toastmaster blah. You can even introduce this guest to them so they can share about how they feel, and it doesn't stop them from learning, right? And there's a really good quote from PQD and Agustinus, right? I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed of my weakness. I'm ashamed if I don't do anything about it. So just encourage the person, show them that there are members who are still learning too, right? And also Probably we can talk about our own growth, for example. That I used to be like that too. And I don't know if Purwanto is here, but I would like to take a liberty to ask to talk about him. Because when I knew him the first time 8 years ago, he only wanted to be a timer, always a timer, maybe almost a year, because he only needed to say the same thing over and over again as a timer. Right? So this is, please mute Susan. Danny, Astrid, are you a co-host? Can you mute the sound just now? Thank you. Right. So give them a real story of how your members improve from 0 to hero, I would say. Right. So can you think of someone in your club, Mr. Ramasdin, that, okay, this person is still learning? You can think of someone, right? Yes. You introduce this person to that guest who feel inferior. Okay? All right. Now, because the floor is open, if you have better ideas than me, I'm sure some of you do, please share it with us too. So if you have suggestions for Mr. Ramasdin, the floor is yours. Okay. Next question, maybe Astrid.
Still going to have the question in the chat room. So everyone, if you have any question.
Should we turn it into table topic session? Okay, let's talk about the mentee responses earlier. Yeah. Okay, now I see someone said exhausted when they attend club meetings. I share the sentiment. Can you put it into chat box 1 if you feel like you're the only one working in this exco, no one else does?